welcome to another episode of Bird Gang Nation Sports Talk. I am your host, Bird Gang 31, and we are here with a very, very special guest, Chris Franklin. How you doing, my guy?
Doing well, man. Thanks for having me on. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing blessed, man. I'm glad to have you on here. You know what I'm saying? I'm excited. I feel good, and I'm ready for another great show.
Nice,
So let's
nice,
give
nice.
everybody a little, background on your what you do and how long you've been doing it for.
Sure. Yeah, I write for NJ. I work for NJ Advanced Media, NJ.com. I cover the Sixers and I cover the Eagles. Heading into my second year now, covering the team, and it was an interesting first year to say the least. Heading not only with the pandemic, with everything that happened with Carson Wentz, everything that happened with Doug Peterson and 4 wins. It was just a lot going on that first season, and then now you have a new coach coming in, so it's going to be heading the second year. So seen a lot, but it's going to be interesting to tell these stories coming up.
Oh yeah, and there's gonna be lots of stories to tell, man. So when did you start being a Birds fan?
Not as when I was younger, I was a fan, and then I started as get older and older, I just become more objective and start looking at the team from afar. So I wouldn't say I'm a fan per se now. I know people want to kill me for that, but I say for we have to go for it. It's a lot. We got to be objective when it comes to telling the story, because we can't be too heavy invested. Like we'll go ahead and we'll look at see everything going on, but we can't rooting for it. Like the ultimate saying, and there's no cheering in the press box. So we have to live and die by that whole entire thing.
Okay. Now, being with the team last year, give me your take of how you seen everything break down. You know what I'm saying? Like how things go in the locker room with the players, coaches, things like that.
I think the main thing, no problem. I think the main thing was disappointment. I think given that all the talent that the team had last year, with not only having a coach that won the Super Bowl, having all these players come back, this experienced veterans coming in, and the hope that some of the wide receivers, you look on the outside, and Carson Wentz potentially becoming what he was supposed to be, everybody thought, hey, this team should have won the division. And you start to see at the beginning of the year, everybody was hyped up and it looked that way. But as the season progressed, you just saw wear and tear. The injuries played a significant role in there, and ultimately became a season of trying to get a lot of the young guys a lot of experience once they basically were out of contention. And then we saw the emergence of Jalen Hurts. We saw the emergence of some of these other guys, like like Quez Watkins coming out, and again against Arizona, little things like that. And the defense, you saw some of the younger guys come in and step in that way. So overall, it started out with a lot of promise, but it ended up
we seen what happened.
For I think a lot of people that would.
Yeah, that was rough, but it makes for an exciting season coming up here, this year. What's your take on Jalen Hurts? Do you think he's done enough in that small sample size, or do you think he still has a lot to prove?
Well, you mentioned it, a small sample size. I mean, he only played the 4 games, and I know I said this beforehand, but I like it a lot. He really likes to emulate Russell. One of the quarterbacks he likes to emulate is Russell Wilson. And when you put the stats that Russell Wilson had in his first 4 games in his career, and you look at Jalen Hurts, they're not very far off at all. They're very, very similar. And he's going to have a whole entire offseason with his receivers he played last week, like Jalen Reagor, with Travis Fulgham. He's got Devonta Smith, who he's already familiar with as well. And he's had a offseason to digest this new offensive system. So I think that they're going to try to build to his strengths. He's got a season to prove himself, because we all know the talk around guarding other quarterbacks like Deshaun Watson. But I think overall he may surprise some people. Personally, I think he will. He's got the poise. He's earned the respect of the locker room. He's not. I don't foresee him repeating the 52% completion rate like he had last year. I think there's some things in there that didn't help out. It also didn't help that the offensive line was really banged up, so didn't feel comfortable. So I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. I think he's going to have a good season this year.
Yeah, like I always say, he played with the B team last year. He played with the B team, you know what I'm saying? And to do what he did with the B team, I feel like, that showed me a lot of promise for him, you know what I'm saying? To have the most passing and yards in 2 games and rushing yards in 2 games for any quarterback starting out, his first 2 starts. And just the fact that, he won the Saints his very first game off the bench, starting. And, we could have won that Cardinals game too as well if our defense wouldn't have choked up at the end there. But hey, and I don't even count the Washington game just because he only played a half there. So I don't really give him that loss. So, But hey, I'm excited to see him this year. I'm definitely excited to see him play. I watched him here in Alabama. Even when he transferred over to OU and still went to the college playoff and showed Alabama that they made the wrong decision in that pick. So this guy is very strong-minded, and he's definitely a winner, and that's what we need in behind our quarterback position this year. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. What's some of your favorite players on the team to watch this year?
To watch, I really want to see Devonta Smith. You got to start out with him. I mean, the way the guy, he's so fluid in his route running, his speed, his football IQ. He has a high football IQ. He's able. It's almost like having. I know everybody says Greg Ward's because he used to play quarterbacks, like having two quarterbacks on the field. Well, I think you have a third because Smith's ability to diagnose a defensive coverage and find the soft spot in there. And one thing I think his emergence, I think it's going to help out Jalen Reagor a lot. Because I think when teams start to see like, hey, Smith can not only break off the line of scrimmage, start and do his thing, start rolling that coverage over towards him. You got Jalen Reagor over there, not only on the outside, but playing a lot more slot this year too. So I think he's going to do well. And I think probably say on the defensive side, I'm really on as a rookie. I'd probably say Milton Williams, defensive tackle. They're a third-round pick. I think he's really strong defensive tackle, guy who can push the pocket in, and then he can also line up on the defensive end if you want to go big against the defensive line as well too. So those are two guys I'm really, really keen on watching and seeing what they do this year.
Yeah, and that's a big plus, like you said, with the Slim Reaper got foot action, baby. He knows how to get off that line. He can twist the cornerback quicker than you can say anything, man. And just the whole fact that I think our new coaching staff is actually going to run the ball. You know what I'm saying? Because that's my next thing. How do you feel about Miles Sanders before I get my take on that one?
I think he's and people. And this is going to sound wrong, but I don't take this the wrong way. I don't think he's a 3-down back, and I think given the messages they run, I think that's good for him. It'll keep him fresher. He's still granted, last year he had some issues catching the ball out the backfield, but he's still a good receiving back, and he's fast, he's quick, and he's good in the screen game. And given that you have that right side of the offensive line back in Brandon Brooks and Lane Johnson, and I'd say this whole entire offensive line is very athletic. So getting them out in space and getting the ball to Sanders out in space, I think is good. I want to see him continue to develop his pass blocking. I want to see him to continue to develop to take that on his own reads, find the hole, take that 1 foot, plant in the ground, and just go. I think he'll be good in that. But given that the depth they have behind him with Boston Scott, with Kenny Gainwell, with Kerryon Johnson, I don't think you have to run him into the ground. And I think that's going to be better for him. And I think it's going to show. It's going to show when it comes to the stat line too.
Yeah, and like I said, with last year, I feel like everybody giving Sanders a hard time, but he really could have showed a lot more if the coaches would have just ran him more. You know what I'm saying? I feel like there's a lot of those games where he only had break that 80-yard run, but then he only get 5-6 carries after. And me being a former running back, hey, if I hit an 80-yard run, I'm telling you to give me the ball. They give it back to me, coach. What are you doing? I've been a disgruntled running back there, talking about giving me the ball. But, ever since the Super Bowl, I think Dougie tried to throw the ball all the time. You know what I'm saying? He got cocky with he won a Super Bowl early. He felt like his playbook was what made it, He let go of Frank Wright, which I think probably helped him out a lot more than he thought helped him out, And then every year after that, we kind of just went downhill till we hit this, is how I see it, what I'm saying, till we hit last year, the terrible season. But last year, I feel like if we would have gave Miles Sanders the ball, he would be shown, to be one of the top backs in the league. And I fully think that he can do it this year, what I'm saying. Like you said, we definitely have great bats behind him, what I'm saying. That's definitely going to take some pressure off of him and going to take the pressure off the passing game, because like I said, Doug always passed. He was a pass-heavy guy, and the pass never set up the pass. You know what I'm saying? You need to run the ball to set up the pass, and I think he got away from that. Even when Nick Foles got into the game, you seen how he ran the ball a little bit more, to help him out. You know what I'm saying? Changed up the offense a little bit for Nick, but as soon as he got Carson back, he wanted to go back to being pass happy. Yeah, we're just going to pass, And I think, that's just me. That my take is that you can't win no games like that. You got to set up the run, regardless if it's working early or not. You still got to try and, make that defense, come up into that 8-man box. And then you have a lot of more receivers, especially our young receivers we have, to give them more chances to get open downfield.
And you mentioned, and you're right about that, especially too, because how many times did you see during the games that the linebackers didn't respect the play fake? I mean, when you saw when it came to that zone read, it's like, oh well, they're not going to pull it either. It was Carson, like Jalen. He had with Jalen Hurts, he had to respect a little bit more. When it came to Carson, it was just for show. It looked like, and linebackers weren't respecting that. Which the
Mhm.
domino was they weren't coming up, which meant you weren't getting when it came to that second level behind them. You couldn't get like it wasn't open as much when if you want to do those crossing routes and meshes, or even get the tight ends in the back behind those linebackers. So it was a domino effect that and they didn't really respect it. And if they continue, if Sirianni and Steichen, if they continue this game plan when they run the ball, I think the deep pass is going to be more effective as well too, running just off the play action itself. So there's so much, and that's the one thing I really think is going to looking forward to is how much not only are they going to play that 11 personnel, but how much are they going to stay with that 12? How much are they going to commit to the run and really open things up and everything based off of that.
Yeah, and I want to see him do some new formations. We've been heavy on that 12 and 11, but let's do some more two back three. Maybe even some three back set where you get like Gainwell out of the backfield. I feel like Sirianni's in a prime position where he got a lot of speed. What I'm saying, to do a lot of different plays. Change it up. I want to see a fresh new team out there. What I'm saying, doing new exciting plays that we haven't seen before. Like something different, because I feel like that was Doug's problem. He kept going with the old, same old, same old. Either we're going 12 or 11. What I'm saying? We're either throwing the ball deep or throwing the ball. What I'm saying? Like, where you
Yeah.
just defense came out and said that they knew what we were doing before we did it every time. What I'm saying? Yeah, defense is like, I know what you guys are about to do. So that's not never going to win no games, man. So I think he has a prime position. That night where he woke up and thought of this crazy, formation. Go ahead and bring it to the practice field. Let these guys try it out, because you got so much speed. You look at Devontae got speed, Rager got speed, Quez got speed, Hightower got speed. Like you already said, Miles Sanders, Gainwell, they're speed demons. What I'm saying? Jalen Hurts got enough speed to make some big plays with his legs. So, the offense could be wide open this year. I see it.
Yeah, definitely could be. And how funny would it be, just like if the Eagles did back in 2004 when Andy Reid was that first year they had T.O., how funny would it be to see the Eagles do first play of the game, first day of the preseason, do the bootleg pass, not bootleg, yeah, maybe a bootleg, a play action pass, little bootleg rollout. Hurts, he tries to throw it deep to Smith just to try to send a message early on. Will you do that? Probably not. You probably want to get him set in, but it'd be kind of it'd be pretty cool to see if that did happen.
Yeah, even like he did that when we went against Dallas, and he did that deep bomb to Deshaun Jackson. Like people think that Jalen don't got an arm, but I think if you really watch his highlights from last year, you will see every throw made that you need to throw at the quarterback position. Like there's not a quarterback that's perfect in the league. What I'm saying? A lot of these guys do make mistakes. Even the best Tom Brady makes mistakes all the time. What I'm saying? He started out last season kind of rough too. But like you see the plays, like when he fumbled, he'll pick it up, hits Ertz on the sideline, rolling out, hitting Ward for that touchdown, back shoulder fade to Alshon. Like this guy has even hit every throw you can do, what I'm saying, to show that he is, quarterback ready to start in the NFL.
And the one thing I think a lot of people, the one person I think should get a lot of credit, at least for bringing him along from when he first was drafted to where he was at the end of the season, was Marty Morningwig. I mean, when we saw Jalen Hurts during training camp, he was good. He's still some things he didn't like. I didn't like personally. I just like looking at things. He was throwing off his back foot a lot, but it looks like you saw Morningwig. He spent the time like he was a sponge wherever Morning would go. You saw Hurts right next to him, and Morning you saw what he did with Lamar Jackson a couple of years ago, and it was like he did the same thing with Hurts, just try to get him acclimated to the NFL game, learn the little ins and outs, and it began to pay off as the season progressed, and eventually became the starter. So he did like every other quarterback, especially come to the league, they have their things they have to work out on. Nobody's perfect. Trevor Lawrence, even if you go with Trevor Lawrence this year, there's things to his game that there's some holes to it that you want to see him correct, but Hurts had some ones when he started out with, but now he looks a lot better. During mini camps, he looked a lot fluid. I liked his footwork. His foot looked really good, and I really want to see how he's able to move around in the pocket this year, because we all know he can run outside, but him not being the tallest quarterback, I want to see how he moves around and finds that throwing lanes. He's done a good job before in college as well too, and he showed some in the first two games that he plays well too in the NFL. I want to see how he's able to maneuver behind those big offensive lines, find that throwing lane, step up, and throw a good ball. And that's going to be, I think, imperative if the Eagles' offense wants to be successful this year.
Nice. And then how do you see that offensive line shaping up on that left side? Do you see Dillard, who's looking good, better in training the camp so far? Is Dillard or Malad looking better there?
I mean, during OTAs, I mean, it's tough to say because they didn't show that much because we were there during a limited availability during individual drills. I will say this: when we got to speak to Andre Dillard, he did seem a lot more focused. He seemed more determined than he did in the past. I mean, the one thing that people question about is, does he have that tenacity? Does he have that will to want to be and to be good enough to be at the left tackle spot? And for a person who to go protect somebody's blind side, I mean, personally, when I think offensive lineman, I want somebody, if he's going to protect my quarterback, I want somebody who's going to be nasty enough, not only have the athletic ability to be able to move the feet around and stop those defensive ends or outside linebackers rush from the outside. I want to see somebody who has a little nasty streak or has that little snarl to them that goes and protects them. Say, hey, you want to come at me and you come at my quarterback, I'm going to come back at you. And if he's able to get to translate that, I think he may be the first one. Personally, I think Mailata is going to be the starter. I think you see a guy who's 6'8", who's a former rugby player, who's able to move out into space and run around and starting to get the feel for the game. If it comes down, if it was me, I'd probably go Mailata, but it's going to be tough because you have Dillard, who was a former first-round pick, and it's a really big asset to use on a position of need. So I think that's going to be the biggest camp battle to watch. It's going to be the most interesting one to watch, and especially for the first couple of preseason games.
Yeah, I think Mailata needs to get the start too. I think he's earned it from last year. He played good, and like you said, Dillard's a first-round pick, but Mailata never even played football a couple of years back. You know what I'm saying? And for him to come in and be that, I see a lot more upside. He don't have as much wear on his body. Like Dillard played ball in college and, all throughout his life, Mailata, I guess he played rugby too, which is kind of physical. But, I think he did a good job there, and he definitely deserves to get the start in the beginning. Now, if Dillard does beat him out, then it's just a plus for us. You know what I'm saying? Now we got two, starter caliber left tackles on the team, and either A, you can use him as good trade bait, or B, keep him on the team because our team gets injured a lot on the offensive line. So why not have him back there, ready to roll in case someone does go down,
I think if Mailata beats him out, I'd dangle him out for a trade because I think Drac Driscoll proved that he can be a good right tackle when he was in there for those first couple of days when he started for Lane Johnson, who was out at the beginning of the season with that ankle. I think Driscoll proved that he can go that versatility, or if anything, if Dillard wins out, I think that's for the Eagles, the best situation, in my opinion, for them would be for Dillard to win out, have Mailata become the backup, could complete another swing tackle, and then you have Raven Clark. But Mailata has first started out being trained as a right tackle, so he gives you that positional flexibility. But if Mailata beats Dillard out, given what Driscoll was able to do last season, I'd dangle him, see if he can get a cornerback or somebody or another position of need on his team.
Yeah, that'd be nice, man. That'd be nice. What do you think about the people that think that maybe Dillard can play guard?
I wouldn't do that personally. I think teams already set at guard. I look Isaac Seumalo, I think, is one of the most underrated players in this team. He comes and plays steadily. He gives you like said beforehand, positional flexibility because he could play center and move over center if he wanted to as well. And you have Brandon Brooks coming back. Looking at Dillard, I think, and also playing that small of a space. I mean, he's got the feet to move around. I mean, obviously playing tackle, got the feet to pull and everything else, but it's just a whole other animal being on that inside. I just don't see him projecting it as a guard more as does remain. I think he'd do better on the outside and primarily on the left side. I mean, because we saw what happened against the Seahawks. I think it was the 2019 season when he was on that right tackle side. And it was like only a week's notice, but. So I think he's more of a left tackle, but if he gets beat out, I wouldn't move him to guard. I just try to move him and see what you can get for him.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then plus we got the rookie that we haven't drafted yet, Mr. Dickerson. Man, that's a big guy. You know what I'm saying? Like I can see him. Kelsey looked like he might be on this last year with the Eagles. Before he retiring, and I can see Dickerson slide in there because he was one of the highest rated centers, but also he's big enough to play that guard spot, and I know the Eagles were flirting around with Seumalo playing center. So how would you see that working out? Do you think Dickerson should get any play time this year? Do you think he's good enough to beat out a guy like Seumalo for that left guard spot and get him on the field, or do you think we should just redshirt him until next year?
I think it's going to be best to have him sit back and watch because Jeff Stoutland, the offensive line coach, does a great job when he has his guys and he has time to work with these guys and show them the way he wants his blocking angles. He also talks about his blocking angles, the way he likes the things done in the system. So I think a year, not to say he doesn't have the talent, but I think a year behind seeing what Kelsey does, I think that will be okay. Because personally, I'd move him into your center. I think when Kelsey goes, I think you move him to your center, and then you keep saying Miles. So that way you keep the most amount of continuity, even going into an offseason. You keep that continuity going. But Dickerson, right? They still have to sign him. I mean, he's not going to hold out. They still have to sign him still too, but it's not going like on those holdouts. But I would think that it's going to happen in the next coming days, so that way it won't interfere with camp coming up. But
did he do any drills? Do you know? Did he do any drills these last past camp? Was he
yeah,
out there at all?
He was out. He was out there. He was out there moving around. He looked like he was okay. He was out there. He was in that black jersey. He was moving around pretty fine as well too. So, I mean that his knee is it looks like it was good enough for him to be limited participation. But so I won't put 100%. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a full participant in camp. I wouldn't be, but he's come a long way. But that's another thing, another reason I'd ease him back into things, and that's gonna be tough because learning and seeing everything that he's done, he likes to go 100% speed at all the time. But it might be one of those things like, hey, ease up, just continue to learn the system, continue to learn the way you block the fronts, and just watch Jason Kelsey and then move from there.
Yeah, did he look bigger than Kelsey?
Yeah, he looks better than a lot of those guys.
How he look towards when he stand next to Sal Mailata? Was he?
Mailata still has him. So Mailata looks taller, leaner, and Dickerson looks like more like thicker, like that, which like we're more out there that way too. But he's a big dude. He's a big dude.
All right, Mitch said, "What do you think about the Zach Ertz situation?"
Oh, given the report that came out, Howard Eskin of WIP coming out saying that he expects him to camp. Well, I expect him to come to camp. I do expect him because who wants to lose $40,000 a day out their pocket?
Right.
Make no sense.
I guarantee he's gonna be at camp if he's not traded because ain't nobody gonna lose $40,000 a day. I don't care how rich you are.
Yeah, he'll stay in there. I wouldn't be. It can go one of two ways. Either Jason Michael, the tight ends coach, said during availability back during the OTAs that he had been in contact with him. So it's not like he's just cold. He's just shutting everybody out. Doesn't know anything about the coaches or anything. So it could be one of two things. One, that he truly expects to be back and would play, or most likely they may just say, hey, you know what? Take it real easy. We'll still continue to try to find a new spot for you and you move on from there. But I think it was a given he was going to show up if it still continued. Personally, I'd move him sooner than later if they really felt it moved on, because we all saw that press conference. It looked like he was ready to go. It was from the way they were talking, it seemed like the team was ready to move on from him. And to a point, I think that still might be the case, but you don't want to risk him getting injured. So just have him there and have him show up and go through things. But if he truly wants to remain an Eagle and play the season out, and if the Eagles can't get anything of value for it, you might who would have thought we see him lining up? I said, I don't even know about. I don't even know. Like at this point, I'd rather. If you're going to cut, you might as well just hold on to see if you can get a 6th or a 7th round pick at that point. I mean, I know you need. I know you still need a second cornerback because that's still really a position to need, and you still need some other spots like to shore up that, and that's a lot of cap space you can do. But at this point, if somebody offers you a 6 or 7, and then also you got other training camps going on, you never know if there's going to be an injury that pops up, and then somebody needs a tight end to fill in, and then now you have even more value. So
we're talking about the Sam Darnold effect, keep him on the roster until, hopefully someone does get a big player, that, tight end player that gets hurt, and then we can throw him in there and get a good, deal for him. But I think back in his mind, Howie probably knows what he's going to do. He's just waiting it out, what I'm saying? Like seeing what else he can get for Zach, because I don't believe he needs to be on the team. I don't think he wants to be here. I definitely don't think he wants to be back up to Goddard, and then once Goddard gets his contract extension, which you got to do early, like you said, even with that there, Goddard contract got to come early, because if he goes out and balls out this year, you're going to be looking at paying him that much more money going into the next season. So, I definitely think we should do the due diligence with him. He was a great Eagle. Let's get him out of here, regardless if it's a trade, or even, like I said, even if it means you lose some, but you give him a chance to go find a new home and have enough time to get into training camp and, get acclimated to his next team.
And how interesting it would be if the Colts all of a sudden, Colts GM Chris Ballard calls back to Howie Roseman and go, hey, we got this 4th, 5th round just sitting around there. Hey, send them over to the Colts. Imagine that one is the last thing you need.
I know a lot of people didn't agree with me, but I wouldn't mind if we traded him to the Colts for like a Xavier Rhodes. He had his best season under JG. Over there, the coach. So why not give him a shot? He came back last year, played a decent season. He's a little bit older, but that'd be a good CB2 for us. To kind of lock down that position.
I'm on the Steven Nelson bandwagon. I'm one of the guys I think just given the amount of zone he's got experience he had playing in zone, he wasn't bad. I think he was a top 40, 50 of cornerbacks that played in zone when it came to, according to Pro Football Focus, if I remember correctly. But given that what this team has, they need to find somebody. I think Nelson will be the best fit for him. And we all saw those Twitter exchanges between him and Slay. Someone come over and sing about money. And if you move Ertz, if you're able to trade Ertz, you free some of that stuff up, you can sign him. But I think he's what's available right now. I think he's the best fit, and I think he'd fit perfectly with the Eagles, and because then you can move Maddox back on the inside, and all of a sudden your secondary looks a lot better in that cover too. So
yeah, that's good. He's probably my third guy that I really on my wish list for CB2 right now. He's my third guy. You know what I'm saying? I kind of see he's more of that slot player. Like he's a really good slot player. I think it'll be on our team. You know what I'm saying? And we already have enough of those body types on our roster right now. You might as well let some of the rookies, go out there and work out like McPherson, or even like bring Jaquette back from last year. Because yes, he had a bad Dallas game, but he also shut down, Anthony Hopkins. You know what I'm saying? He played a good game against him. So he showed that he can do stuff. And like I said before, I don't think the old coaching staff was really teaching these guys. They were just kind of like, this is what you need to do. Go do it. You know what I'm saying? If once they didn't do good, let's get the next man in and see if he can do it. And if he didn't do good, let's get bring you back around and do it. And I think, with Nick Sirianni and his coaching staff seem to be training these guys. Like they didn't do so much of the 7-on-7 type stuff. They did more fundamental drills and get you guys prepared for training camp. But my top three will probably be, of course, everybody. I want Howard. You know what I'm saying? He's elite. Nelson is good, but Howard's great. You know what I'm saying? Like to have 10 picks last year, and he only had 1 in 19, but the year before he led the league again with like 8 picks. So, putting that together, that's like 19 picks in 3 years. And not a lot of cornerbacks got that. He's still relatively young, and we don't have the money this year, but how sometimes they work it out in the trade where maybe Miami pay some of his salary this year in the trade, so then we won't have to take so much of a hit this year, then next year we'll have some money to re-sign him if we need to do that. And we can build with the future for him being our star cornerback, since Slade probably only got a couple more good years in him.
You brought up a good point when it came going back to the 7-on-7 thing. I thought that was very good, because I was been watching, like, they didn't do 7-on-7 or 11-on-11s this past OTAs, and I'm slowly but surely I'm changing my philosophy when it comes to there, because for us, we don't say, hey, we want to see this person goes against this person. But I was watching a video Lincoln Riley had a couple days ago. I was watching this video Lincoln Riley had. He was doing it at a coaches summit. And he brought up a good point, because you start to develop a lot of bad habits when you're in 7-on-7 when it comes to the offense, when it comes for the quarterbacks going that way too. And I think for the defenders as well too, because you can try to simulate that one-on-one inside, and you think, oh, I pushed him here, the linebacker's there. Well, what if the linebacker's not there? You don't get that flow. So I think that's a key. That was a very big key thing to see on there as well too. Now, getting back to the cornerbacks, I think Slay's gotten Slay I think played well last year. I personally think so. And I think he's got about 3-4 years. I think he's good. And playing in the system and the cover too, I think he'll be all right. And you mentioned Jaquette. That's one guy I really think who could have another guy who can have a bounce back year. You don't see, 6'1", having a bigger corner, that definitely helps. And given that the wide receivers this team's going to see this year, especially just within the division alone, Amari Cooper and the Terry McLaurins and everything else, you're going to need a guy to step up that way. And if they choose not to go out and get Nelson, if they're not able to obtain another CB2 or anybody else to come in here, and they decide to roll Maddox back on the outside, and then when they go nickel, bring him inside, you're going to need him. And I think right now, I'd probably put Jaquette over McPherson. Now, granted, it might be my bias towards Big 12 cornerbacks right now, just because that league gives up 60. All of a sudden, like 60 to 50. And that's a glorified 7-on-7. It seems like a dime in that conference. But I think Jaquette could be, I think, could really bounce back. He had that bad Dallas game. We're on that game he had a rough game, but I think off season, a little more seasoning, I think he'll be all right.
Yes, Sanders. Like I said, yeah, Laurie did get that good staff to help these players with fundamentals, and that's definitely going to make them play with a lot more confidence this year. I see, definitely, yeah. So, what we're saying. Then after that, I kind of wanted Richard Sherman until he messed up his whole career thing, with that move he done did, because he probably won't be playing this year. But Richard Sherman was another one. But I see us going playing some training camp practices with the Patriots and the Jets. So I think that maybe Howie's looking at my boy Gilmore over there. You know what I'm saying? Licking his job, saying as Gilmore still has it, and trying to see what it would take to get him over. Would you like to see Gilmore come to our team?
I think a lot of people would go. I think a lot of people would love to see Gilmore. It's a matter of if they have the assets to do. If they have the, I know they have the draft picks and everything, but A, will they be able to make enough cap space for him? And B, what are the Patriots going to want for him? And Gilmore, I like him. I don't know if he's going to be able to. I don't think the New England's going to let him go so easily, especially because it's tough to find a top tier corner. Like, I mean, look at right now, it's tough to find a top tier corner, and Sherman would have been nice, but I just got that feeling he always was going to stay on the West Coast no matter what. I just always got a feeling he's going to either. I think it was going to be down to the 49ers or Seattle. I just felt like it would have just been. It would have been a lot for him to get him on the East Coast, but I don't think that would have happened. But Gilmore would be nice. I just don't know if they have. I just don't know if they'll be willing to meet the Patriots price and also clearing up enough cap space in order to get him. So it'd be nice. It's tough to find out. They'd have to find a way to address that second cornerback position fast.
Okay. And what do you think about McLeod? He looking healthy out there? Was he running around? And if not, do you think Kayvon could step in that position?
I saw the most recent thing I saw him was on Instagram where he was running on a field. I want to say he's down in the Caribbean or down south somewhere, but he was running around and he looked good. I think he'll be ready. I think we'll see him in the preseason. They may not want to push him. They may not want to try to put him out there, especially if it's a preseason game. He's a veteran guy. He knows what he's doing. But I think he'll be all right. He looks fine, especially that quick coming off that ACL. I mean, he looks all right. So I think that'll be all right. And getting back to Kayvon Wallace, I think he showed a little bit. He still has a long way to go. But Jim Schwartz said it best last season. The toughest positions to learn in his defense were linebacker and safety. And Wallace, for what he was able to do, I thought he did all right for there. He's to me, he's more of a box safety. If you keep him coming down, and that was too
last year.
Yeah, if he comes down, like I want to see, because I think Jonathan Gannon is going to be aggressive, especially with the showing that flashing those two linebackers in the A gaps and trying to create havoc against that line. If they're able to disguise it, Wallace was a good blitzer back when he really rushed the passer very well. I think it was very underrated on that one. I mean, you think Wallace, all right, cool, box guy is able to go drop my coverage, you think safety, but he can blitz, and I think he could be, if they decide to go get really exotic on some of these things. If it was like, oh gosh, imagine a zone blitz, you have Ryan Kerrigan dropping back, and you have Kayvon Wallace coming on the outside or something like that, or little things like that. There's so many. There are different pieces that they have, and the key I think for that defense is if they have those issues with the secondary, they just need to make sure they rush the passer very well to limit the amount of time, make it, instead of 4 seconds, make it 3.5 to try to give them a little bit more of an edge, especially if they're going to play that cover 2 or cover 3, what have you back there, or go to Tampa 2 sometimes. So that's where the issue is going to be. I mean, Wallace, I think will be all right. I think he'd be more effective as a blitzer or even somewhat, I think more Jacoby Stevens in the big nickel role, but Wallace would be all right. I think he'll hold his own if McLeod somehow is not ready for the beginning of the season.
Yeah, and that was 2 things I was going to talk about next. Is like Harris, I don't think people are giving enough credit to. To me, that was a huge pickup. Like Harris is a beast. You know what I'm saying? He's a ball hawk and he's a playmaker back there. And I think that's going to bring a whole nother dimension than even like a lights of Malcolm Jenkins, and definitely going to be a lot better than the Green Goblin, you know what I'm saying, playing that safety position. So how do you feel on Harris?
That was a surprise. I honestly didn't think they were going to get a guy of that caliber to join that defensive backfield. So, and you're right. To have these guys, if, and it's the big if the cornerbacks are able to hold their zone, and you just have that safety that's just allowed to see what's going on in front of them and then get a beat on the ball and try to create some turnovers, that's perfect for them. That's you're getting the most you gotta get for them, and especially to get them on a 1-year deal as on that prove it deal. If it works out, hey, you get them used to the system and have them remain in Philadelphia. But looking at, I think Harris will be okay. I think Harris will be all right. I'm more worried about what's going on, like that fourth safety, that the depth at that position, because We saw what happened when guys started going down in that secondary last year. There wasn't that many people that were able to play at a high level. So,
Mhm.
but I think Harris will be. I think Harris was a good pickup, and he'll be a good piece going forward.
Yeah, and like you said too, another guy I'm looking to make a kind of an impact on his rookie year is that dude Steven Jacobs. Isn't that Steve or Jacob Stevenson?
Jacoby.
Jacoby Stevenson. Yeah. Jacoby Stevenson. I might be mixing his name up, but yeah, Jacoby Stevenson, man. I'm looking for him to do something, like you said, be that guy that comes in. He's a hybrid player, half safety, half linebacker, playing in that like hybrid style defense, where he can come up to the line, make some plays, maybe back off if he needs to, cover a tight end out of the bag, cover a back out of the backfield type player. So what did you like? Did you see anything about Stevens this year?
I think he's your Will Parks. I think he fills in that role. That's your Will Parks, and hopefully it works out for him this year. Unfortunately, we all know he moved on. Parks moved on, but I think if he's able to get used to the NFL game, it could work out that way. In Dime personally, I put him as a lone linebacker and have him go back into coverage. That's what I would do personally. And put him, he's your big nickel guy, and then in Dime, leave him back there, take all the other linebackers out, and then you have more secondary guys in those like third and long situations, and then you just say, hey, you know what, front four, rush the passer, we're just going to drop a zone and make the quarterback beat you and find the seams in between the zone areas, so zone coverage areas. But I think it's a lot to ask out of your seventh round draft pick. A lot to ask out of there.
How to play? Come in ready. When you play in the SEC, you kind of already semi-pro ready. You know what I'm saying? With the teams and the competition level that they play at, man. I kind of see them like, you think of the last couple of safeties that's been from LSU. They've been some ballers in the league, even going back to the Honey Badger, days.
I think Jalen Mills, I thought, did all right at safety. I really did. I mean, it's been documented with how he played at cornerback. It's been well documented. Like there, he had struggled there, but I think when he went back to safety, I think he held his own. I didn't have too much of an issue when it came to him playing safety. And in all honesty, looking back on it, maybe that's where he should have been playing the whole entire time. Yeah, but I think
like a little too slow to be the corner, like a little bit too slow. And then he kept getting beat on them double moves too, but a little bit too slow for the cornerback. But yeah, safety should have been his spot for sure. I'm excited to see what he does in New England, this year, see how they use him back there. But let's go to that defensive line. What's your besides Milton Williams? We already said the rookie's supposed to have a good play. How do you see it coming down? Do you think Barnett or Sweat? Which way you going? Because I'm a big Sweat. I think Barnett probably going to get the job taken this year.
See, part of me thinks Sweat progresses, but part of me thinks that Barnett knows this is his payday coming up, and he needs to prove himself. If Barnett stayed healthy, and it seems like you say that with everybody on this team, if he stayed healthy, he's been nicked up here and there, and I thought that's slowly starting to take away from what he was projected to be because he's missed so much time and he's starting to get that wear and tear on his body. And so when you look at him, it's almost kind of infuriating in a way when you see him play because you see the talent that he has, you see the speed that he has when he's get going, and then when he gets going, it's he's out for 2 or 3 games because he did this to his shoulder, did this to his ankle, he's got a lower body injury, something like that. Sweat's all right. Sweat proved that he can be all right. I think he faced 7 sacks last season, and he's developed. If he develops one more move, because he had that good swing move, if he hump, and the best person he has right now is Tracy Rocker, one of the best defensive linemen that's been out there in collegiately in developing defensive line players. If Sweat's able to develop another move, and if Barnett somehow develop a move, I think it's a win-win. If I had to put gun to my head right now, I still think Barnett would do a lot better. And I think a product of that is going to be they're going to continue to rotate these 2 groups so he won't be on the field as long. He'll get his teamed up. And I kind of like the way that having Ryan Kerrigan with Sweat, because it'll be almost a mirror image to me of having Chris Long and Barnett when they were during the 2017 season. I think that can be your way. And then you roll with Graham and Barnett in the first group. I think they can still do very well because you still have Cox on there and you still have Hargrave with that, so they can provide pressure. So this is probably one of the deepest positions on this team, the defensive line. You can see so much they can do with there, and this defense is going to have to lean on them a lot, not only to provide pass rush, but to keep a lot of these offensive linemen, especially in the run game, from getting to that second level to those linebackers who are not the biggest. They're athletic and they're quick, but they're not the biggest guys on there. So I think they're going to have to find that balance of getting the good pass rush, but also making sure they take some heat off the linebackers and able to allow them to make some plays.
Yeah, and like I said, I feel like Sweat was just like he had that knee injury coming into his rookie year, right? And it's just been like every year I feel him, he was just chopping up, getting a little bit more healthier, a little bit more healthier. And last year we got to see him actually be more fully healthy to the point where he have more sacks than Barnett last year. I think he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
he
played
on
less
team.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played less time. So if healthy, he was supposed to be. If he was healthy, he could have been a first round or top 2 round draft pick those 2 years. I mean, that year he came out. So I think he slid because of the knee injury. So, and I know they said it could be continuous, but the way he playing, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying both of them got a payday coming up. Because both of them are going to end their contract this year, so they're both playing for that money. You know what I'm saying? So.
It's going to be real interesting too. See who's going to be tagged. That tag is going to be real interesting. Who the team wants to tag next year? Because, I mean, do you tag Goddard if you can't work out a long-term deal? Do you tag him, or do you tag Josh Sweat? Do you tag Derek Barnett if he proves that he's good? There's so many. They may find themselves playing their way into a decision that's going to be very tough for a team to decide what they're going to do in the future, given that. And I think if anything, you may have to tag one of the defensive ends, which leaves that, even though the tag's going to be cheaper for a tight end like Dallas Goedert, you may have to tag one of the defensive ends just to keep him here next year. It's tough because you want to keep rebuilding that, and it's tough to find, just like cornerbacks, tough to find good edge rushers. So they may play their way. It might be a real interesting 2020 offseason when it comes to deciding who gets that, among other things. It's going to be real interesting.
Yeah. And like we said with Dillard too, if Sweat does come in hungry, and showing that he can outplay Barnett, come trade deadline, he might be a piece that we can get some money off the books there too.
I think for this team, unless he's looking like he's really, really going to underachieve, unless somebody unless Teron Jackson or Patrick Johnson, one of their late round guys, shows like, hey, you know what, we got something special here, or somebody of value that can put the same output, I think you got to keep him, at least for a whole season, especially if it looks like with the way the NFC East goes, you never know. I don't think they're winning, but you never know. Last year, you didn't think Washington was going to win it, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, they're in the middle. They win the division, and 6 months. But you may never know what happened. If it looks like they're continuing to be competitive, and there's some outside chance, you may have to hold on to them.
Do you think we have the best defensive line in the division?
Second best. I still think Washington has the advantage there. But I think given the depth that this Eagles team does, I think they have that, because Ron Rivera, Ron Rivera with that defensive line, that's going to be that's the matchup. One of the matchups I can't wait to see this year. I cannot wait to see the Eagles offensive line versus the Washington defensive line, if both sides are healthy still. That's going to be some good football to watch in the trenches. That's going to be some of the best ones, man on man, hat on hat. That's going to be fun to watch. But right now, I think the Eagles defensive line core, the unit, that they have the second best in the division right now.
Well, I'm biased. I'm going Birds all the way. Look at what our B team could have won that Washington game at the end. You know what I'm saying? Like, they needed to win that game too. We could have won that game, against them with not even our starting line. And you look at Kerrigan had just as many sacks as Chase last year, and he played a third of the time, kind of like our Josh Sweat. Kerrigan was in there, and he was very disruptive last year, and he's on our team now. So, I look at that, adding more sacks. We were third in the league last year in sacks, and I'm guaranteeing with the talent that we've added, we should definitely be higher, So,
and one thing I want to say is might change what you're sorry to interrupt, but one thing I might change too, they're going away from that wide 9. So that little inherent advantage they had spreading out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to affect it? Are you going to be more gap specific? Hey, watch out. Just make sure nobody gets on the outside, but still rush but just don't sell out for those linebackers. That may impact, and that's not a bad thing. If it overall helps the overall unit, that's cool too. But that wide 9, the way going away, and with Jim Schwartz going on, I wonder if that's going to take away a little bit from the way that from the sack total, but that's not bad if you get stops and they have to. The one thing I really want to see this defensive line do that they did last year is stop committing the offsides penalties, because there's so many times when it was 3rd and 4 or something like that, third and 4, 3rd and short, and somebody you want to be aggressive, but there's no excuse for a defensive lineman to jump off sides when they're not looking at the ball, just going off a cadence. And how many times did you see when they're getting game momentum, they're about to get off the field, somebody jumped, gave the opposing offense new life, and they continue to drive and go on and get points on the board? They have to do a lot better than they did last season. Stop jumping and watching the ball, stop committing those penalties to extend drives.
And the flip side of that is we're going to be blitzing a lot more than we ever have with Jim Schwartz, too. So we might be taking away that wideness, but now we're going to have more people in the A gap, the B gap, the C gaps coming off the end. So that can open up a lot more for the defensive linemen, too, as well. People kicking out, you know what I'm saying? False reads, stuff like that. So, those guys are dominant down there. And my boy Philly said, what mic do you use there, buddy?
Oh, I got the Yeti. Got the Yeti, man. They got this for us. It works pretty well. I mean, I've been happy with that as well too. And but yeah, it's the Yeti. They're good. They're good. Mm-hmm. Oh wait, I got the box here. It is the Yeti, the midnight blue version of the Yeti. Yeti Blue. That's what it's called. Yeah.
What's up to everybody in the chat? Thank you guys for watching. You guys hit that like, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to my channel. And thanks for joining us today. Let's see. Man. He said he thinks the Washington overhyped there. Yeah. I'm with you. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I got us going 12-5 this year. You know what I'm saying? Like, if take away, Kansas City and Tampa Bay, which I still think is a possibility, and we might end up winning one of those 2 games just because they can't both, since everybody thinks that they're the 2 unbeatable teams. We're probably not going to lose to both of them. But after that, there's really not another team I fear to the point where, they can beat us. I think we can beat any of the rest of the schedule. How do you see us going?
Originally, before the Julio Jones trade happened, I had them winning 6. I think they win the Atlanta game now. So I think they win. I think at the worst case scenario, they win 7 games. Best case scenario, I think they win 9. I mean, like you said, this division is I don't think Washington's repeating as division champions. I mean, nobody's repeated division champions for a while. And I hate to say this because it's weird to say it out loud. I think you have to look at Dallas's offense and you have to look at the Giants to see if Daniel Jones improves. Those 2 teams made some strides as well, too. And the biggest questions about both of them is coaching. Because
well, the Giants, their quarterback, Danny Food Stamps ain't doing nothing. He ain't been doing nothing. He ain't been doing nothing.
I'm sorry. That got me. I wasn't expecting that one. It got me.
No, but that boy is the garbage. Like I see him sweeping the Giants, man. I don't know.
See, I see it split. I can see a New York split. I can see a Cowboys split. I can see a Washington split. I think this. Especially, I think I think all the Eagles division wins are probably going to come at home. I just really do. And then Washington. The thing with Washington is Ryan Fitzpatrick. You don't know which Ryan Fitzpatrick you're getting from week to week. And that one too. But I think Daniel Jones. I think he can improve enough. But the Cowboys. You have to watch out for that offense. And if they do get if their defense does improve a little, even just some semblance of it being okay, you got to watch out for them coming out to the division and winning the East this year. It's tough to say that with a straight face, but
with me, it's like with the Cowgirls is like this. No one knows if Dak is even playing this year, like at full Dak level. You know what I'm saying? Like that was a gruesome injury. You know what I'm saying? I see him out there in shorts, throwing the ball around. Looking good that way. But what's going to happen when you got people falling at your ankles, falling at your legs? I doubt he's going to take off running like he normally does all the time, especially early in the season. You know what I'm saying? That can affect the team. And then a lot of players in the NFL, if you look at like Amari Cooper, Zeke Elliott, those guys aren't as good as they used to be before they got the big payday. And they definitely just paid Dak.
Yeah, I had an injury very similar to one that Prescott had. I was playing semi-pro, and that's actually a funny thing. Actually, that's what actually led me to the writing career. That was fun. But it's the same thing. My foot got stuck in the ground, and the one foot was like this, and the other one was straight, and it's gruesome. And then when you do that, one thing they teach you at least when he comes to walking away. The recovery for me was about like 2 months. And then you start getting into, I think mentally, once he gets those first couple reps in practice, he'll be fine. He'll be out of his mind and he'll be ready to go. So the big thing for him is just going to get his timing back. And if he gets his timing back, especially in those first couple of preseason games, even if he plays one series, just get used to it. And if they use the second game now as they used to do with the third game being like a quarter and a half, he gets that back, I think he'll be all right and he'll be fine. And I don't think the Cowboys are going to let him have a lot of 7-step drops. I wouldn't do that if I'm them, especially with the weapons that they have around there, and especially with the pass rushes of the Eagles and the Washington they have. I wouldn't do that. But I think right now they're the top team in the. I don't even say that, but I think they'll give them their top. Giants are probably 2.
We get what you're talking about. You don't even have to say it. That's blasphemy on this stage. The Cowgirls suck is over here, you know. The Cowgirls suck. Because I just look at, like I said, Amari's not playing. He checked himself out of a lot of games, you know what I'm saying, last year with the little injuries or whatever. Zeke hasn't been the same, you know what I'm saying, for like the last 3 years, you know what I'm saying. Zeke's not the super dominated, where everybody thinks he's the number one running back in the league type player. As of late, he's definitely gained a little bit more weight. He's not the same, but, you never know. It's a new season. New offseason, maybe he practiced a little harder, you know what I'm saying, trained a little harder this offseason. But like I said, I know it's not even just with our division, just most players, even if you look at Carson was the same after he got his big paycheck. You can say all the other stuff, the injuries or whatever. In the NFL, when people get paid, there's the ones that get better, but there's also the ones that get worse. And a lot of these players have been getting worse lately.
See, I think it's – there's certain guys you have to watch a certain thing. When you give a lot of these guys these big contracts, you got to look at the character of the guy. You got to look at the way that he's shown, like if he's hungry. I think a lot of that is your intangibles when they get the big contract. Are the guys going to want to continue to fight? I think with Wentz, the biggest thing with him was just, especially last season. I still go back to that Giants game up in New York, and you saw the routes developing, and guys were getting open. I mean, for all the time that how much maligned his receiving core got, they were getting separation in that second game. He was just holding on to the ball too long. And I still remember that play. I want to say it was in the third quarter. Jeffrey was breaking open. There's actually 2 routes. I think Ward was breaking over through the seam as well, too. He looked at him, stopped and thought, and tried to dump it off into the flat. And it's like, what's going on there? And that's how he's starting to is he shell shocked? Is he getting hit? It's like, what's going on there? I think mostly that was Wentz. He just got banged up over time, and that when you take so many hits, you just want to get the ball out. Just want to say, I think it was a Darnold saying seeing ghosts, or somebody was saying they were seeing ghosts beforehand. I think Carson Wentz was seeing Casper. You seeing everybody else. He's seeing all the ghosts that he possibly could see. He's probably Candyman too. He's probably seen everybody giving as many hits and everything. So I think that was the main thing with him. I think when he gets out to Indianapolis, he'll be all right. I mean, it's going to be better for the Eagles. I think that second round pick is going to convert to a first. I think it is. I think they're going to make the playoffs, and it's going to help the Eagles, and the Eagles are going to have probably 3 first-round picks after everything is said and done.
Because he went over there, and, the pressure's still there. You had old Phillip Rivers up there getting them to the playoffs last year, you know what I'm saying? Like, the expectation now, we got a young buck in Carson Wentz. You need to take us farther than what Phillip did. Now, if he does anything less than Phillip, that's
losing a little bit. I lost you a little bit on that on the end there, but I think when it comes to the Colts, you look at the AFC South. I mean, you got the Titans. I think the Titans are loaded. Titans are loaded. So they're looking at wild card. You just look at the overall. So for me, I think the Colts are going to have to look at the wild card. And when you look at the whole entire landscape of the AFC, I think they can get that. They can go in and be like a 5 or 6. I don't think they'll be a 7th seed, but I think they could be a 5th seed. And all the Eagles need to do is for the Eagles, best scenario is it comes down to the last game of the season. That means he's played more than 70%. They win that game. They go to the playoffs, and the pick conveys to a first-round pick, and then they somehow lose in the first round, and next thing you know, they got a pick in the late 20s.
Right, yeah.
In the early 20s,
I want Carson to be better, you know what I'm saying, mentally and physically better with the coach, but I definitely don't want him to win no games like that. There's too many games, man. Like, Win 7, Carson. Just enough to get us our first. But I want that to be like under the 20s. I don't want it to be in the 20s, high 20s. I want it like 19, 18, you know what I'm saying? 15 overall. That'd be great. You know what I'm saying? Much love, Carson. We have faith in you over here.
You want 9-7-1 and get in the playoffs.
We got here. We got Philly girl asking, where did you play semi-pro ball at?
Played at the South Jersey Generals. They're based out of Glassboro. We played over St. Augustine. Played for the Cecil County Raiders at the over in Elkton. Played for Delaware Legacy. Yeah, those are the three things. And then I went into coach for the Wilmington Wolfpack. So that's what I did that one too. I played QB. I was a backup QB. I wore 10 that first season, so I was the default Coy Detmer holding the ball and playing the backup QB there. But yeah, I got the clean up spot. I was behind a really good quarterback in Jeff Campbell. And the funny thing is, and this is how you know the world just comes full circle. Mm-hmm. Jeff Campbell, he was a really good quarterback. He went to Martin Luther King High School in Philadelphia, eventually went to Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Well, guess who was the wide receivers coach during that year, during I think there's a couple of seasons that he was there at Indiana University of Pennsylvania? Nick Sirianni. Oh, wow. So it's funny how the world just comes full circle at times. It really truly is, man. And Jeff still has a hell of an arm, and we're getting up there in age, but it's still cool to see like what he's able to do and learn from watching back then. But it was semi-pro was interesting. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, that way.
I played a couple years semi-pro. It's fun, man.
Respect. It is.
It really is. Both my collarbones and my shoulder. You know what I'm saying? Like that was a bad injury, but other than that, it was great. You know.
Yeah, you start to feel. There's mornings you start to wake up. You're like, okay, it was worth it. It was worth it. Okay.
Man, I'm ready to play right now. I told everybody I'm 40 next month, and I'm still like in great shape, and I feel like I'm just as fast, maybe a tad bit slower, but in my head, I think I'm faster because I'm lighter than I was. You know how you get like, I can do it. You know, and I've raced a couple of these young bucks out here just to show them that I am. So I still got that speed in me. But yeah, the biggest part would be taking the hits again. You know, that would be the biggest part.
I got one good game. I got one game left in me, and the thing was, I used to be more of a Taysom Hill type. Like I could run the ball, running that little option, running the fake thing, running the option. It was great, and then passing was an adventure sometimes. But I was more of a running thing. So right now, to take a couple hits, I probably give one game after that. Ooh. Where's the ice at? Where's the ice at? Thank you. That's good.
Philly girl was a cheerleader, former cheerleader for the Delaware Diamondback cheerleading squad. That's what's up.
That's cool. That's cool. I wonder if it was DFL. Was it DFL? I don't know, but that was cool. And there's a lot of, and I know we got off a tangent NFL stuff, but there's a lot of semi-pro leagues around the country, and a lot of people don't know about it. I mean, you got leagues that range from up in North Jersey all the way down to Virginia at times, and there's national stuff. There's national things going on, like some of the national games that happen. There's a lot of good football that I was playing out there that people don't know about. It becomes fun.
Let's see. Yeah.
Nice. All right, cool. Nice. I wonder if that was DFL. I wonder if that was the Diamond Football League. I mean, they had the stories used to hear from some of the OGs, man. It makes it a lot of it's that some stadiums. I mean, down south. I mean, I'm just saying, I heard stadiums are being sold out. Like stadiums are big. I mean, a lot of people don't know Patty LaBelle had a league at one point. She owned a league, and too. A lot of people don't know about that.
California, the Patty LaBelle. I want to say my second semi-pro team I played on was we were in the Patty LaBelle league. Yeah.
Guys, our head coach and assistant coach, I went there, and some of the guys I played with, they played in that league, man, for the Philly Panthers. There was a lot of that league is there's a lot of semi-pro leagues around there that does a lot, and I think that's best. That's best for not only for the NFL. I think it's best for the game of football because, given what's going on right now, with a lot of schools are putting a lot of questions now because insurance is getting up there, the cost of equipment, and everything else. To have this outlet for the people that want to develop their skills before potentially going to another college or being seen by a college or for arena ball or indoor football, IFL, whatever, what have you, is still a good outlet to have, especially when these schools are starting to cut back on these programs or if they can't afford it. So having semi-pro is very important, I think, in my opinion. I think it's unique.
And for people that just want to go play some ball, you know what I'm saying? That's why I did it.
Same here.
I see my career is not going to the NFL like I expected it to, but
I took 10 years off from high school and
have some fun with it.
Yeah, that's the way to go. I was 10 years old. That took 10 years out of high school. I didn't play college ball because I figured, hey, you know what? Let me try to do this broadcast journalism thing. Didn't work out. But I'm like 10 years later, I'm like, I see, like, you know what? I'm gonna sign up, try out, sign up. And next thing you know, here I am with this. Funny, it's a weird road, but yeah, you never know. It's semi-pro football has a lot to offer a lot of people, and I think a lot of people just don't know about it. And it'd be nice to see a resurgence come back again around across the country, to put it that way.
Yeah, that'd be nice, man. Let's get back to the Birds. Okay, now give me your guys who got the most pressure on them.
Jalen Hurts for sure. I mean, that's to me hands down, because I want to see how he reacts to it. I mean, he's acted everywhere he's going. He's acted with the adversity. He's able to take it, especially when everybody knows what happened with Alabama with Tua and everything else, and when he went out to Oklahoma and everything. But there's so much talk now about the Eagles having all these assets, and you hear Deshaun Watson name being thrown around. I mean, people are like, "Oh, is Aaron Rodgers coming? Is Russell Wilson coming?" You hear all these quarterbacks named, and you got a guy who you drafted in the second round. Granted, they said they wanted to go to the backup, but you have this guy coming in. It's like, hey, you know what? You hear all these rumors about Deshaun Watson. Hey, we want you to go out. We're giving you a year to see what you can do, and that's a lot of pressure. It's a 1 year audition, and it's one of those things where he has to at least prove that the offenses may not only make strides, but probably has to be in like the top 15 in the league, and show that it can consistently move the ball down the field, and for them to give up the notion of getting Deshaun Watson. And that's a big ask for, especially with all these new players coming in there, new system. That's a big thing to do. And I want to see how he responds to it. I mean, it's interesting. Everybody, I said this earlier, everybody knows the type of guy he is in the locker room. Everybody knows the type of players. He has the intangibles. He has all that. He's got the physical ability. We all know he can run. If he can put all this together to become a good top 20, top 15 quarterback, he's definitely within that. Sorry, Chris Sims, but I think he's within the top 40 personally. But when it comes to that,
how you have backups better than you? Come on now. You know?
When I saw Kellen Mond and I saw Andy Dalton, I was like, okay.
And even if you take some of the last quarterbacks out of the last two drafts, Jalen was better than him when he was in college. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, Jalen was better than Tua. He showed that. You know what I'm saying? Like, what I think Jalen has the advantage is he's already went through this. You know what I'm saying? He went through this in Alabama, and I'm here in Alabama now. And the way Saban coach, man, that's just like being in the pros, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? The pressure that he puts on you is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm not worried about Devontae. I'm not worried about Landon. I'm not worried about Jalen. You know what I'm saying? To go through that, what he did in Alabama, and then turn around and kick them out of the college playoff and rank his team even higher, be back up in a Heisman rate running, man. Jalen got this. I think he's not even worried about it. He probably didn't even think this opportunity was going to come this fast for him. And I think he's going to run with it. Like, I see him being a dark horse MVP this year. You know what I'm saying? Just because he had the skill set. Like you were saying, moving the chains. If you watch a lot of Jalen's highlights last year, a lot of those runs that he did were just open. Okay, I can't find first read, second read. I'll just run 10, 7 to 10 yards out of bounds. You know what I'm saying? Okay, the middle's open. I'm take off the middle. But he knows how to do two things Carson didn't do very well. Slide. You know what I'm saying? Carson never found out how to slide yet, and I don't think he still knows how to slide, which is his own downfall. And throw the ball away. You see Jalen, when he couldn't find it, he just threw it away. Boom. Play another down. You know what I'm saying? He's smooth, calm, collected. And that rinse do, baby. He don't play no missing no payment. You know what I'm saying?
The thing I want to see how he do is, I think defenses, they've had the offseason now to see how he plays. And I think they're going to play more zone against him. I want to see how he's able to pick apart those zones and make the read quick, not only to see it, but make it quickly and get a good, accurate ball out there. Because I think you're playing Russian roulette when you're going man-to-man zone with him. So especially with these receivers, if they decide they all want to, if Sirianni calls a play where you have 2 or 3 9 routes going down the field, and now you have your pass rush. And if you lose a pass rush, you got 10, 15 yards in the green. It's a dangerous thing. That's a dangerous thing to think about when it comes to it, unless you put a spy. And even if you put a spy there, what if he gets beat? I think more defenses are going to go play a lot more zone and start trying to disguise them with the zone with that spy. So I want to see how quickly he can find those spots, and succeed in there and exploit them, so that teams have to mix it up even more. So that's the biggest thing I want to see out of him, and he's got a year to prove it. And if he wants to be the guy here
with that too, that's what you don't understand.
Too, yeah.
Our running game, we got some backs that can start on other teams that are going to be behind Miles Sanders. You know what I'm saying? Like, if when healthy, Kerryon Johnson was electric. You know what I'm saying? Gainwell, some people thought he was the best back out of the, draft this year. I don't go that far because I think, my boy from Harris from Alabama was the best back came out last year. That fool's a beast, and he's definitely going to do good in Pittsburgh this year. He will be in my fantasy league, yes. But, like, you got to make a decision. Who do you think is going to be that fourth back? Because you already know. I think Kerryon, as long as he stays healthy, he's going to be there. I think, Gainwell, we just drafted, so he's going to be there. And we already know Miles Sanders is going to be there. But what about the likes of Boston Scott, Howard, Elijah Holyfield, Hunley, Killins, There's a lot of guys back there fighting for like maybe only one position.
If I had to go for it, I'll have a Sanders starter. I have Kerryon as my number 2. I have Boston Scott because I think he still does a lot of things for him as well too. So Scott and Kerryon. If I had to go for it, Gainwell's my 4th. I think if anything, if they carry 5, and then if they carry 5, it'll be because Huntley's going to be the kick returner. Because they need a kick returner or somebody dynamic who could be a threat. And if Huntley proves that he can be that guy, that's your 5th one. I think Jordan Howard's the odd man out. And once they got Kerryon Johnson, I think that was a signal. I mean, Howard does very well in those short yard situations, but the one thing that they prided themselves on, they thought they did very well, was that he was able to help with that pass blocking. Now you have Kerryon Johnson, who that's one of his specialties there, and as well as catching the ball at the backfield. And Howard got I thought Howard did an okay job catching the ball backfield, but he doesn't do it as well as Kerryon Johnson. So with those 4, I think he's the odd man out. Killins, I thought it was telling when nobody else. I liked him to speed. He's a man without a position, and it's tough with him. I feel bad because he's more practicing more with the wide receivers instead of the running backs.
I heard that.
Yeah, he really he's going out there. He's got the speed. Now, I'm shocked he can't return kicks or haven't tried him out consistently doing that. But he's a tough guy. I'm surprised, especially when he was on a practice squad, that nobody picked him up. I signed him. I was like, and he wasn't protected that many times. He wasn't protected that many times. So.
Probably worried about the whole Pumphrey effect, and we have.
Flashbacks on that. All-time all-purpose yard guy, and then next thing you know, you come to the league. It's like, ooh, I was high on him coming out. I was like, oh, San Diego State. I mean, they were consistently a good team out the Mountain West, and you have a guy that did well in that program, man. Ooh, but I think, and another guy. How about this? How about Elijah Holyfield? Last year, he was in training camp. He was doing very well, and the next thing you know, I thought he was going to be like the physical short yardage guy, but that never came to fruition. I mean, I think he suited up for one game, I think it was, and then that was on special teams mostly. And this is probably the second deepest position on this team, second or third, depending on what was here, but I'd probably say second. But it's, I think Howard's on the outside looking out. I think Holyfield's on the outside looking out. And then if Howard wants to come back and be that same role like it was last year, where he's on the practice squad, the veteran practice squad guys protected. Hey, that's perfect.
So you think they're gonna put Boston Scott over Gainwell?
I think they're really still high on. I think they're really still high on him. I think they may dress 3 or 4 running backs. I still think Scott does a lot. Scott does a lot of well. I mean, I know it's not just against the Giants. He does a lot of sneaky things that are pretty well, and he runs some very good routes. I like that as well too. Running out of back, well, Gainwell runs some really good routes as well too. Like all 4 of these guys can potential. I want to see. Like, I really want to see Scott, even Scott Sanders, Gainwell, Sanders, Johnson. You can do so much and create so many mismatches. Getting one of those guys on a linebacker 1-on-1, and then you create a good mismatch in favor for the offense. But I think and going wrong, Gainwell still has to learn the system and get used to the NFL. I mean, you don't want him to hit the rookie wall too. So he may look good at the beginning of the season, but season wears on, you start to get used to that. It's that thing. And
with all the new pieces, like the new coaching staff on both sides, everybody's starting out fresh.
I think everybody is, yeah.
And they're building around the players' talents as opposed to like the last coach that wanted their player to build, learn their system. Like Nick Sirianni already said, he's coming out, and I'm going to mold you guys to. I'm going to mold my offense to whatever you guys show me. You guys show me your talents, and I'll mold the offense towards that. Now, will he do it or not? We still got to see. But that coming in, that is the way he said he wanted to mold it.
Yeah.
Like everybody think, it's going to be San Diego's offense. Oh, it's going to be the Colts offense. But I think you're going to see just an Eagles offense. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a little bit of both. Have some key plays from both. But then he like he said, like when he started the last camp, he was like, just come out here and show me what you got, show me what you got, and drills, show me what you got, see how competitive you are, you know what I'm saying? Show me why you need to be an Eagle this year, you know what I'm saying? It's to the point where if Gainwell is out there just doing the basic stuff right, I think he can have a chance to have a big role in the offense this year.
Yeah, he can do a lot. He can do a lot of stuff very well, especially with that speed. And I want on that stretch. I really want to see him on that outside. Him running onto that right side with Lane Johnson and Brandon Brooks on that zone play. And I can picture it right now. Both of them take that step inside. They go to the next level. They get to the chip, go to the next level. Gainwell runs that stretch play, gets the outside foot down and runs that way. He can have success with that. He can have success lining up in the slot. He can success going in motion and then having a linebacker follow him out or bumping the cornerback to follow him out, having that linebacker or safety now go on the inside against Rager or Fulgham or Smith on the inside. There's so much you can do with that. I think he can be dynamic. If you have if you want to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to get him 4 or 5 plays a game, I'm cool with that. I'm completely cool with that. I just don't think you need to overload him right away, especially given that all the talent that you have with Scott. And I think Scott deserves at least 5 plays a game. You can pretty much go 15 touches for Sanders, 5 for each for Scott, Gainwell, and Johnson. Because then that way you know that you're giving your offense, you're running the ball more, you're getting the ball into their hands, and they can set everything else up for those wide receivers and Goddard in the middle.
I want to see Miles get at least 20 touches a game. You know what I'm saying? I think he's good enough for it. You know what I'm saying? I think, like I said, but my theory is I thought he was going to be one of the league's best last year, but he got stunted by the coaching. Like, everybody's like, yeah, he dropped some passes, whatever. But like I said, if you're sitting on the bench code, you know what I'm saying, because you're not running the ball, of course you're going to be going there and you're going to drop some passes here and there. You know what I'm saying? You're not in game mode. You know what I'm saying? Like, being a running back, too, is like, especially if I come in, I do something good early, and then the rest of the game, I'm just kind of like sitting there, we're throwing the ball again. Okay. And then you go to the freaking huddle. What's the play again? Oh, another pass play. Cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, that kind of takes you out of your rhythm, But I want to see him at least get, like you said, 15 to 20 carries a game. Now I want to see Kerryon maybe take about 10 carries a game. And then I think the rest, you're going to see him, Gainwell, come in, like I said, a lot of passing stuff. You know what I'm saying? I think he's going to have a lot of that back out of the end of the flags, or those Texas routes and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Just use his speed to get him open. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, motion him out. Have him and Sanders start back there, and everybody's already like, okay, run a couple of options. Double options. You know what I'm saying? Now the defense like, oh, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Now you got them brought up, send them out into the to the slot. Then the defense gonna be like, oh crap, what's he doing over there? Like I said, we can be really dynamic. That's why I give us high expectations of making, winning so many games this year. Because even with all of them, no one really had high expectations for none of the last 3 coaches we've had, and they were able to come out and get some wins early, especially Chip with his new offense, having that new offense. You get those wins early because no one knows. They think you're still the old Eagles from last year, you know what I'm saying? And being a whole new Eagles.
Huh? I was thinking Chip in the the S8 play sheet, so I can see every time S8. Yeah. So I forgot about that. Memories.
And just having that new, fresh, new offense, it's definitely going to throw a lot of people off balance in the first, especially the early half of the season. And then now, say everybody is clicking and it's gelling and we're moving. Now you got to look at, they said the second part to what they said. Every week is going to be different. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to go into with the same game plan every week. We're going to do a lot of different things depending on the defense that we're playing. So if we're doing that, the second game for our division opponents, they might have a little better, sense of what we're going to do to them because we already played them. But the rest of the schedule, they're not going to have any sense of what's going to happen unless they have the same exact setup on their team. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to be able to hit people by storm, boom, 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 to the point where we're going to have that, maybe that first round bye. I'm telling you, like the Giants.
Hey, if that happens, I think a lot of people in Philadelphia would be happy. I think if that happens, a lot of people in Philadelphia would be happy with that result. If they get 12. The Giants
won that first Super Bowl, right? They were a good team that year, right? And then that second Super Bowl, they wasn't so good. No one ever really had as high as expectation for them to win that Super Bowl the second time they did it. Like, what was it, 2 years later? So I think we're kind of in that same boat. Like, we won the Super Bowl, 3 years back, 4 years back now. But, no one really gives us any expectation. The whole league thinks we're going to be sorry this year. You know what I'm saying? To hit all of them in the mouth like bam, fast. And the good thing is we got the Kansas City Tampa Bay games early. You know what I'm saying? Because they're really not going to have a sense of what we're going to do. But we can't go pop them in the mouth and get Andy Reid, you know, because he's been beating us. I love Big Red, but I don't like that either. You can't be beating Big Red. You already did your damage.
Oh, goodness. But I think next for me, I said this earlier, like I think they get 7 to 9 wins. For me, next year is going to be the key one. Like they can get 12 because if it winds up that Jalen Hurts is your franchise quarterback, you can use those first round picks now to get a corner. If you want to get if something happens with Rager or Fulgham or Ward or something like that, and it looks like they're not panning out, you get another wide receiver. You can get another defensive lineman, trade for another one too, because they'll have a lot more cap space than they did this year. They won't be facing around there making the tough decisions as well too, and then kick the can down the curb, make a couple moves, and all of a sudden now get that one too.
Linebacker in the first round next year. We haven't done that in
Good luck.
so 70s. Long.
Jerry Robinson or something like that.
He's a star linebacker, man. Like I don't see why they, Schwartz didn't put so much emphasis on it. We got a new defense now, so hopefully they realize that the good teams have good linebackers. You know what I'm saying? Like, Tampa Bay, they have 2 studs over there. White and Davis. You know what I'm saying? Those guys are ballers, and then they look at all the other good defenses like the Ravens and the Niners, like, all these teams that have these awesome linebackers. Even last year, I wouldn't even mind, like the Cowboys picked up 2, if we didn't trade back up, I wouldn't have mind Parson, but I would also wanted us to get a corner or something like that and maybe got, like the LSU linebacker, what was his name?
Not Dylan Moses? No, he was the somebody else. I forget. Jabril Cox. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, like in the second or third round.
Parsons, I had red flags on, not from a playing standpoint, but a character standpoint, because those allegations that came out in Penn State with the 3 players that included him. Well, 2 of those players transferred and he sat out the year. So it makes me kind of like just looking from the outside looking in. Like, and I'm saying this right now, I don't have any inside information. I just read that report, the lawsuit that came out, and just seeing what happened with those other guys on the he could have been. The university could have said, "You know what, we don't want to make this a distraction. You did not just sit out," and then the other guys just say, "I don't want to be around here with this." Okay, but to me, that just raised a lot of red flags. I was like, "Wait a minute, and they were serious." But I would have no problem passing it. And a lot of times, I mean, I get where the Eagles are coming from sometimes when it comes to not drafting a linebacker high. It has to be, but if there's like a generational type talent, like I forget the Baltimore Ravens, Patrick Queen. When he's around, I know is more of a 3-4 guy, but I just think he's not. I think he would have just been a really good middle linebacker, period, and be a 3-down middle linebacker that would have been successful in this thing. But guys like that, I can see that if next year, if there's somebody
Alabama,
late,
like you said, Moses was good at Alabama.
Yeah, and that one too. That knee. I feel bad for him because that knee. I think he would have gone a lot higher, but there's so much thing. I think he was all right. But for the Eagles, from the future, from here on out, unless it's a guy who can completely be a generational type guy, I'm okay with them not using the first round pick for him. Second, third round, oh yeah, go for him during that round. I think there's still a lot of guys who have a lot of value and a lot of talent in there for it. I just can't wait till, it's the 6th round. Oh, we do need to pick up a linebacker here and there. And that's when you start to get in a little trouble there when it comes to that.
Had 3 first rounders in a long time, so I feel like then you have the opportunity to do it if you want to do it. Then I really wanted to double dip, especially if we don't get a corner. Double dip in that cornerback position in the first round. There's some good cornerbacks coming out. Now they got to play this year, but if they play the way they're playing, man, there could be some good ones coming out next year.
Yeah. And hitting the linebacker real quick. 2 guys to watch. There won't be stars, but 2 guys to watch to see how they do. Davion Taylor and Sean Bradley. I think those are 2 guys that are going to be really good. I like Bradley going from sideline to another sideline guy. The biggest question with him was coverage, but I think playing in his zone, I think he can do very well with that. So he's a guy to watch. And Davion Taylor, he's still athletic. He and Bradley are so similar in the way that they're athletic. They can be dynamic when they get a chance, not only on special teams, but also they get a chance to play in defense as well, too. I think those 2 guys to watch out.
Do you think they have a chance at that 3rd linebacker spot if we run 3 linebackers?
I think they're running still with Wilson, Singleton, and TJ Edwards. And I think Wilson. I put Wilson probably on the strong side, Singleton on the weak side, and Edwards on the strong side, Wilson in the middle, Singleton on the weak side. That's why I think it might be for them.
Yeah, because that's what he said. Wilson's going to start out in the middle. How you like Wilson, that pickup?
I like that too. Another under the radar type guy. I didn't think another guy. I was shocked that I was shocked they signed him. B, I think it's going to be an upgrade because Nate Gary more suited. Another guy like Ja'Cory Stevens. He's more like that one. I think he was more suited as a safety. They converted him to linebacker. Okay, I get if you want to try him out there. Okay, I get it. I don't think he was the right guy to be your starting guy, and he had his issues. And I know he deserved a lot of criticism that he got last year, but not everything was completely on him as well too, schematically. So I'll put that part out there. But the Eagles definitely upgraded when it came to Wilson, and as opposed to Gary on that one, and it'll give him range. I think he's more of a reliable cover guy. Mm-hmm. So I think it was overall is a good thing. And the main thing is, they can't miss as many tackles as they did too. So I think you won't see as many missed tackles with Wilson as you did with Gary too.
Nice. And Philly Girl said, what about Elliott? Elliott needs to get replaced. He said, have you seen Elliott kicking anything out there?
We didn't see him. We saw Aaron Sipos more. I saw Aaron Sipos more kicking. I mean, during the regular OTAs, I saw out there he was just doing kickoffs, stuff like that. For I didn't see him doing a lot of the field goal stuff. Listen, it's one of those things where if he starts to struggle early, you might have to start looking at bringing guys in. But that cap hit he has, it's insane how much he counts against the cap. And I know, and the Eagles are thinking, okay, we got a guy who's got a strong leg. He can be our version of Tucker, and he's here for the next years. We got him at a good number as the years go on, as salaries go up. I think he can bounce back. The thing I'm really not getting too much in the weeds, but I'm looking at the mechanics as going to be as the holder now. He does. Cam Johnson's going, and you got a whole new punter holder in Sipos right now. Knock on wood, right now you have him going there. So the mechanics are a little better. So it's going to take a little bit for them to get better. And everybody think, oh, you're just holding the football, getting right. Well, it's almost like it's trust. It's like, to me, the holder is like the barber for a guy. You have to trust your holder. You know where it's going to be at. You have to get the replacement at the right time, and you do everything. So I think Elliott can bounce back, but I wouldn't be surprised if he starts to struggle a couple games into it. They bring a couple legs in and just see what they do. But I think financially they're heavily invested in him, and they may have to ride him out for another year, even if he's not doing well.
And what about that punter? Wasn't he an Australian punter?
They say he's all right. I mean, most of the time we're looking at the other players. I mean, I try to keep a little eye on seeing what he's doing. All right. And I still think Thomas Morse. I mean, you got other names out there like Thomas Morse. I wouldn't be surprised if he continues through training camp, it goes through, but they're also taking a look at it and seeing what other punters or whether it's teams that carry a second punter, what they do during the preseason games, and if they go, okay, we're cutting him and bringing this guy in, they do that. But he's not, to me, he's got a strong leg, not as good as Johnston, in my opinion, but you weren't going to be able to afford him. I mean, having a good punter was a luxury, especially with this cap situation. But he could prove me wrong. I've been wrong before on some of these things beforehand. So if he all of a sudden next thing you know, like, hey, look at this one. Okay, well, Chris, what'd you say this for? That one too. Just hope he doesn't turn into Brad Wing. Just hope that way.
Do you think we'll use one of the top three next year for future offensive linemen, or you think our line set with a dip?
I think the line's set because you still have Nate Hairbig, you still have Jack Driscoll's background, and both of them played well, so you can always put them in there and being your starting line. And you can still get a lot of quality linemen in third, fourth, fifth rounds. And I think there's a lot of good guys that are out there. It goes either some smaller schools where there may be questions about, hey, well, he didn't get out of his stance quick enough, or his feet aren't quick enough. But you can develop that with right habits and coach that up. So I don't think they'll use. I wouldn't put it. I wouldn't say no, unless Dillard and Mailata both look like they take a big step back. I wouldn't use it for another. I don't see them using it for another offensive lineman. I probably see more of a defensive lineman, defensive end. I probably say the needs if they wind up with the 3 first-round picks, cornerback, defensive end, and then potentially receiver, tight end like that with that last one to
A
put him down to.
linebacker? That's what I'm hoping. You
Unless,
need
like I say, like a
versatile
generational
linebacker.
guy. If it's a generational guy, yeah. If it's a guy if it's a Patrick Queen type guy, yeah, I would, because on the back end. But here's another thing too. A lot of people don't think about this as well too. 3 first-round draft picks count a lot towards your cap, a lot, especially down that line. So I wouldn't be surprised if they package 2 of them to move
you
up.
don't have to do it if you're going to get like the top end corner like Stingley or Elam, something like that. You're going to have to go up. They ain't making out of the top 10 if they have good seasons this year for sure.
Package 2 of them to move up and get the guy, and that saves you some money in the cap because you don't have to pay 2 first-round salaries. And then when you have to worry about, wow, especially 5 years later, 5 years later, wow, we got all these guys who are going to schedule to make a lot of money, like 30, 35, 40 million against the cap for 3 guys. What are we going to do here? We got to train right. It's just rough. It's rough.
It is a lot of cap money. No one's even really looking at that. Because even if we only have like 30, 40 million over the cap, if we got 2 first rounders right there, that's like
it builds up.
Man, that's a good point, man. I didn't even look at that part. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, if we do get Stingley, I know for sure if he plays the ball that everybody thinks he's gonna play this year, we're gonna have to patch 2 of them up. Whatever the 2 lowest one, 2 highest one is, hopefully sitting down and go ahead and get that. But all right, I like to do this, towards the end here. I like to go before we go there, tell me your favorite game that you've watched as an Eagle.
Ooh. Oh, I think it's the Super Bowl, but not for the reason I didn't watch most of the game. I was listening to it, but it was just what happened that night. I was still on the news side, and we were I was covered say, hey, go to Frankfurt and Cotman, which in Northeast Philadelphia, that's the go-to spot for everybody when it comes to celebrations. So I'm standing in front of this bank, and you see a bunch of and I'm with the bike patrol. You see the police officers, and we're just sitting there waiting. And then you're hearing Merrill in my ear. You hear Merrill, Eagles. And then I'm on a stream, an internet stream, so I don't hear it live. So I'm still sitting and listening. Like I'm trying to think, and I'm trying to give play-by-play to them because they're trying to figure out, hey, what's going on? Okay. And the stream buffers. So I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And then all of a sudden, you just hear coming out from front. And you just see this wave of people just coming out from every which way on Frankfurt and Cotman and just celebrating. I mean, that probably was one of the coolest things to see game related. Even though I may not saw the game, I had to watch the second half. I watched the second half. I watched the first half. I didn't see the second half. But and just listening to it, that was probably the cool thing. I mean, the sites saw that night and seen somebody may have been smoking a green substance while riding around on a hoverboard. There's people trying to climb up the poles. That's true. Oh, I still got a bunch of those pictures, and it's just in video, and just that night was unique. Just seeing that way too. Just watching it from that aspect.
Alabama don't even like pro football like that. So I was in the bar. They're like, "What's wrong with that guy?" I was going, "You get a shot. You get a shot. You get a shot." Why is he laying on the pool table? Yeah, Ryan. Tears of joy.
And that was another thing. You saw all these people. You saw these people who were 60s and 70s out there. You saw all the young people in there too. And the parade. You know what? The parade. I mentioned that parade. Yeah, that was another thing too. That was another. That was an interesting day too, because what happened was we got on a bus and we get to ride from the NovaCare complex all the way to the art museum, and so streets are all closed, and you're just riding up, and you see this massive humanity in all green, midnight green, and you hear the cheers, the random Eagles cheers, and I'm taking cell phone video. You're walking down the street, it feels like a scene from The Walking Dead, but you have everybody on the outside, so you're taking a picture, and when the Eagles come down, and they're in those buses, in that first bus, you see Nate Sudfeld, Carson Wentz, and Nick Foles holding this Lombardi. You see the joy that was coming down there, followed by the sudden thuds of so many beer cans from people trying to throw beer together because they were asking for the beer here. Doom, doom, doom. What's going on here? And then you look to the side, you saw like Ronald Darby and all the defensive backs coming one way. You see Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson, especially Kelsey and the Mummers thing going that way. It was the sights and the sounds. I still remember those thuds thing. It was just, it was one of the, that whole stretch of days, just from the Super Bowl itself all the way through to the parade. It was just incredible to see in the city.
And what was your favorite guy you've ever encountered, during this whole thing?
Ooh. If we go Eagles wise,
Wise.
that's really tough. And it's not a cop out. I say Mailata. Jordan Mailata for me is the guy, because to see a guy the path he took to get there. I mean, he was going to be in the NFL no matter what, because I was talking to somebody in the NFL who was part of their national team. He was going to be their part of their pathway program. He was going to be allotted to one of the teams and be on the roster for a year. So when the Eagles took him in the 7th round, that helped him out that way, because he was going to wind up somewhere else. And to hear his journey of how he got there from a guy who didn't even know a lot of regular football, he played Australian football, rugby, to seeing this guy now starting, and the joy this guy has on his face, and the attitude he has looking forward to it, saying he knows he wants to get better, and he's constantly following Jeff Stoutland. He's constantly learning from Jeff Stoutland and everything else. So now he's in a position to fight for the starting left tackle spot. I mean, that's just hearing him talk and seeing where he's coming. I think he's probably that's just really one.
Much love, my guy. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, anybody over 1,000, share the video. This is great. It's a great interview here. It's great times on the Bird Gang Nation's channel. You know what I'm saying? I try to keep it real. Try to have a little fun with you. We get some history lessons. You know what I'm saying? We get some great analytics going on this station. Now here it is. This is my big thing. Everybody, before they go from the show, they have to give me their all-time Eagles team. Since you've been watching, that is my new thing. I need the all-time Eagles team, offense and defense. Now we do, it's varied. How you want to do it. Do you want more receivers, more this, more that? But I would say we start out with 2 quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. Who are your 2 favorite quarterbacks in Eagles history?
Donovan McNabb and Randall Cunningham. I like McNabb. When I first started out, I used to always want to be, especially in high school. Like when I was in high school, McNabb was the guy. So we see him running around and make these plays, and still remember that the 16, 17 second play where he runs around and finds Freddie Mitchell down the field. He was the guy. And then Randall, just looking back, like I was younger to Randall, and I started really recognizing football, really understanding, like just getting more and more into it. That was when the year before Rodney Peete really took over for him. Mm-hmm. So just look back and see the plays that Randall was able to do, not only to throw the ball, not only run the ball, but punting. I mean, that kick against the Giants, he had that quick kick was just 91 yards, something like that, 91, 93 yards. Just the sheer talent that guy had. He really should, in Philadelphia, he really should have picked up they should have picked up at least 1 Super Bowl with each Cunningham and McNabb.
Yeah. Especially Donnie going to 5 straight NFC championships, man. But it was his fault we lost the Super Bowl. As much as I love him, Donnie, but you choked at the end of that game, man. That's why T.O. was mad at you.
I think it's the play calling too, and the need to not rush the ball a little more. And I mean, there's those other allegations that were out there about a certain team may have been looking out there. I mean, not concerned me so far to the point where Arlen Specter wanted to get that still makes you laugh. Arlen Specter wanted to get a Senate investigation. That still makes you laugh, but. Overall, that team, I think 2002 should have been their Super Bowl year.
Commercials with his mom, but we're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there. We're gonna keep it.
Gotta go with chunky soup.
But okay, now we got our running backs. Give me 3 of them.
All right, I'm gonna go with Brian Westbrook,
right?
Because you got that versatility. Give me, as much as I talked about him saying that one, still give me Miles Sanders.
Yeah, all right.
And Shady McCoy. And I'm throwing a fullback in there too. I'm cheating. I'm going fullback and go Kevin Turner. And Kevin Turner.
Turner was a beast.
Yeah, when he had that 1 year, I mean, RIP to him, but that 1 year you saw him, I just remember him and Ricky Waters in that backfield. And he was able to catch the ball at the backfield. He was able to be a good blocker. He was good. I mean, everybody talks about Larry Sanders, but he was good.
Richie, when we got him from the Raiders.
Oh gosh, yeah, I remember John Ritchie was good. Man, Leonard Weaver. He was another guy too. Before he got hurt, he was good too. Yeah, this team had, Perry. Everybody forgets Josh Perry. Perry was around for those championship teams. Mm-hmm. Everybody forgets about him, and he did a decent job. But to me, Kevin Turner was a really good fullback, and he did that. He did a really good job.
All right, give me 4 receivers.
4 receivers. All right, I'm going to go with Fred Barnett, Terrell Owens. See, this is fun asking the questions, not being on the other side.
Yeah.
Fred Barnett, Terrell Owens. I'm going to get killed for this, but Todd Pinkston, because when you had Terrell Owens, Pinkston led the league in yards per reception because with his speed. And when he was good going, I thought if Owens stayed a little bit longer, Pinkston really, really developed and been very good as well too. So he's another one. Mm-hmm. And finally, Dante Stallworth. I thought if he stayed for more than 1 year, that offense was good. I mean, with Jeff Garcia, he looked very, very good. And I thought Dante Stallworth, if he stuck around a little bit longer, he would have been really, really good. And he was that one too. But Barnett, and I mean, Calvin Williams was good. I know everybody's saying Mike Quick. I'm going more modern. So I know before you say Mike Quick and Harold Carmichael, those guys, they're OGs, they're great. Well, I'm looking more modern from what I've seen. Yeah, I still think Dante Stallworth was. I think Dante Stallworth is better than that one. Jackson was really good. And Miracle in the Meadowlands, number 3, number 2, whatever. That first run he had was great. It's that second, maybe it's recency bias where I remember more of the second go around here where he wasn't on the field as much. That one too. Jackson's good on that one too, but Stallworth, man.
Yeah, I do.
That's
why I like doing it, because you always get these players that on their list that the other players didn't even think about, no one else even thought about. Like I forgot even about Stallworth. He was good on, for a good little stretch there.
That Saints game, I mean, he tore them up, and you thought like, hey, you know what? You thought they were gonna win and go to the NFC Championship game, but wound up short. I mean, Garcia did that. The Merry Christmas Philadelphia year, man. That was just that was a good year.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're at tight ends. Your 2 favorite tight ends.
Because I vaguely remember them. Oh, see, this is tough. See, Keith Jackson's up there because I remember vaguely watching him when I was younger. Keith Jackson's up there. Chad Lewis was up there, and Zach Ertz. If I had to go 2, I'll go with Keith Jackson and Zach Ertz.
Nice. Yeah. Chad Lewis was another great one. Brick Selleck. Selleck was good.
And that's another guy I felt bad for because if he didn't break his foot in the conference championship game, and just hearing him say on that last touchdown catch, and he's yelling the line, I broke my foot. Like, if he's there, I think they win that game. I really do.
Okay. So now we already did the receivers. So let's go to offensive line. Give me the big boys up front.
At left tackle, Jason Peters. At left guard, Jermaine Mayberry. At center, Jason Kelsey. At right guard, Brandon Brooks. At right tackle, Lane Johnson. That'll be my. So pretty much just everybody except for Mayberry. Yeah.
It seems like everybody's favorite.
Yeah.
But Mayberry was another one because everybody gets stuck on that left guard. Evan Mathis was good. Todd Harriman was good, but Mayberry was definitely good.
A Pro Bowler, and I remember when he got drafted, I was like, I'm just like, why did they pick him? Where did he come from? What school is that? And then he developed into a Pro Bowler and developed into a good guard. And he did a lot for the community as well too, with the automobile and everything else.
Yeah, Big Ryan in there. Yeah. Hank Fraley for center.
Honey Buns.
Trey Thomas.
Yeah, they had a lot.
I love those guys.
A lot of guys. Oh, they did well. This team believes in building along the line, so they've had some names in there.
Let's go on the defensive line.
Reggie, for sure.
White.
Yep, Reggie White, Jerome Brown, Fletcher Cox. See, Curse is out because I think for me, he just had that. He was. You may have to go Brandon Graham now. I think he's played his way to his all-time guy. He's played his way onto on my list. You know what? I think he's all-time guy now in that one too.
Right.
There's just so many names on that. I mean,
oh yeah,
it's tough.
Yeah, Corey Simon, Bunkley. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kurz. You got who else was really good? Clyde Simmons.
Darren Howard when he was here, he played well.
Darren Howard.
He played well.
Trent Cole.
That's the one. Trent Cole was good. Mike Patterson could have been. It was just infuriating. He only didn't get that long. Yeah, you mentioned Bunkley. Yeah, there's they've had some talent up there too, up front too. Man, this is tough.
The best part about it is you never have a bad list because they're all great players. You know what I'm saying? So let's go to linebackers.
Seth Joyner.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was younger, Willie Thomas was really good. So Willie Thomas is on there. Oh, Trotter. I'm going big. I'm going big. I'll go Trotter as my I'll go Joyner as my middle. I'll put Trotter
list, baby. The Axeman's coming.
Yeah, I'll put Trotter as my middle linebacker. I'll put Joyner as my Sam, and then I'll put who did I say? I forgot what I said already. Oof, it's tough. But yeah, I'm putting Trotter as my middle. I'm putting Joyner as my Sam. There you go. Willie Thomas is my Will. There you go. Yep, because
Willie Thomas.
No, Willie Thomas is my Will because he was good in coverage. And I'll put Joyner as my Sam.
Okay.
There you go.
That's good. And then we got let's go CBs, baby. Give me three.
See, this is going Eric Allen, Troy Vincent, Brian Dawkins, Malcolm Jenkins. And then that way I can move. Dawkins can play that hybrid role. He can go move down to the box if he needs to. I still got Malcolm Jenkins to play the center field role. I got Eric Allen, who's gonna be a ball hawk. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
One more corner.
Oh, one more corner. All right. Lido is good too, but see Lido, and I'll put Sheldon Brown as 3B.
3B, yeah. People don't realize we had awesome cornerbacks back in the day. Lido and Sheldon. You had Bobby and Troy. You know what I'm saying? Al Harris and Asante Samuels. You know what I'm saying? Eric Allen.
That fact that Bobby Taylor and Troy Vince were started, and you had all those guys. They had Dawkins, who was still young, and you had Lido and Brown and Michael Lewis as their backups. All one draft.
Good safety. People don't talk about very much too. Michael Lewis was awesome.
He did well, Philly, and moved out to San Fran. Did okay there, and just I don't know what happened, but that was the Eagles' version of the Legion of Boom without the physicality, but with the talent. That was their version of that one, and the fact that you had Al Harris, at one point you had Al Harris as your nickel guy. That was good.
And then the last couple of ones, they wanted to add this in. Give me your special teamers.
Give me John Dornbos as my long snapper. He's snapping it to David. He's snapping the ball to Coy Detmer, and then Dave Akers kicking it. I can't mess with that battery there. Those three. It was just automatic. It was just automatic every time.
And then the punter.
Punter. I'm gonna go with See, I remember Fiegels when I was younger. Fiegels or Johnston.
Ooh.
Oh, Cam Johnston, because he got the ball. He was able to get the ball inside the 20 a lot and perfected the art. I'll go with him over Jeff Fiegels.
And your two returners, punt and kickoff return.
Punt return, I'm using D-Jack. I'll get D-Jack on that way. So he's my punt returner.
Go.
And then kick returner, J.R. Reed. If he didn't have that, how many times did you see him break so many kickoff returns? If he didn't get injured hopping over a fence or something like that and then mess his thing, who knows what his kickoff return, what his career would look like if it didn't happen. But J.R. Reed was.
I forgot about him.
He was good.
He was a good one there.
He was good. That fence injury just did him in. It was good, but D-Jax, he definitely is a punt returner.
Yeah.
Then I can sneak him on to be the fourth wide receiver. There you go. It's perfect. I can sneak him on if I want to go 5 wide. Sneak him on that way. There you go.
You got him on the list, baby. That's all that matters. You got him on the list, man. Well, hey, man, it's been a blast to have you on. You know, hopefully I can get you on again. Now, go ahead and talk to these guys and tell them what you're going to be up to coming up here and where they can find you at.
Camp opens up, begins officially on Tuesday for the rest of the league, and then they'll be out in the practices beginning on the 28th. So we're looking forward to that. Read the work on NJ.com. I work with Mike K. He's a great guy as well, too. We cover the Eagles. Going to do the best job we can on that. You can follow me on Twitter at C Franklin News. You can follow me on same thing on Instagram, C Franklin News. And looking forward to getting all that out there. Also, the No Huddle Show podcast. We about once a week. We've been on vacation, so it's been here and there, but we've been on there as well too. But follow me on Twitter and get the latest news, and we'll do everything we can to give you that Eagle stuff out to you.
Oh yeah, you know I'm gonna be hitting you up during the season, baby. That's cool,
Yes, cool. But thanks, seriously, man. Thank you very much for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
No problem. And thanks you all you guys in the comment section, man. Thanks for coming out and watching us, supporting Bird Gang Nation Sports Talk. And like I always say, fly, Eagles, fly. And until next time, we out.